the numbers not Federer-like on the first serve percentage. It was much lower than that. It was 46% in the first set. He got through that, survived 4 double faults in the first set. Brad brought the serve up much better in the second set.
He did a great job of managing himself. He didn't serve great in that first set, but yet didn't get broken. The second serve numbers that were outstanding. The couple of times that he faced a break point, he saved him. He played the big points. But he managed himself on a day that he didn't play that great in the first set. That's right. I love to see great champions not be at their best and figure out how not to only win the set, but not to drop serve. I mean, it was just from courtside, there's so much that you can take from watching Roger Federer, from his feet to his hands to his head as he starts.
You can see all those body parts right here.
Yeah, he comes out, you know, he managed a couple of double faults, a couple of whiffs, and he was, you know, he still got through it. And he has the great ability to put points behind him.
We'll get Roger.
We're talking about your superlatives. About your superlatives.
We're on live, so welcome.
You know, what is that? About your great, you know, things that you do. I said today, like in the first set, you were struggling a little bit on your serve, but you have the great ability to manage yourself and not let it bring down other parts of your game.
Yeah, I think that's very important because very often that can happen to a player or myself as well. At times, when one thing doesn't go well, you start fiddling around with other things. But I tried to stay focused, and I was still holding serve, so things weren't going bad. But it could have gone a bit better. But I thought Stan played a very clean match of 1.5 sets, and then obviously went away a little bit at the end.
You know, you played Stan so many times. You talked yesterday about the dominance. This match, he really seemed to have a few different things to show you, and he really seemed to have a lot of belief, Roger. Did you get the sense that you were going to have to fight to the last ball today?
Absolutely. Look, the second set was a bit slower. The atmosphere was a bit more quiet. Okay, I got the set in the pocket, but I didn't feel comfortable still yet on my serve, for instance. I was still looking how I could make the difference against Stan, and he was kind of still serving pretty well. And like you said, I wasn't getting into that many rallies from the baseline, so I could really start to change up a few things. He really served well and played great first strike tennis as well.
Going into the tiebreak, it was a little awkward towards the end of the first set. You actually served 5 straight faults, which we don't see very often, and you had a couple of looks at returns where actually you sort of swung and missed. You had 5 set points that you weren't able to convert. How do you go into that tiebreak staying positive?
I was actually honestly extremely calm considering, because I could have panicked a little bit. I could have been the type saying, oh my God, that was so unlucky at 5-4, break point down, and by a hair I missed that shot. He stopped this rally. That's the hardest thing to do in tennis. So I was like, you could see it that way, but I thought, you know, I've been playing an okay first set. I thought he was playing a good first set, and I was still in the breaker, and I still felt like I could raise my game. So I tried to see it the positive way, and I'm happy I played a decent tiebreaker.
I got to ask you one thing. When you get in your serve position, I got to get up again. At the very last minute, you just give a quick glance at the returner. Are you able to adjust? Like when you see, one time I saw Stan go way back, you serve and volley. He stands up closer. Are you able, right before the toss, to make an adjustment based upon where the returner changes his position?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, I can. I very often do decide last second to serve the other way. Actually, I remember a very classic moment for me was in Indian Wells this year when I played Rafa, and then there was the
weather delay.
Well, toilet break, rain delay, and then I came back for the match point or something. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go down the middle to his backhand all the way. And then as I'm tossing the ball, I went wide and hit an ace wide. I was like, okay.
You had an hour to think about that, sir.
I mean, I was like, what? I've been thinking 5 minutes to go the other way, and I changed my mind last minute. I mean, that one worked, thank God.
Do you realize, for most of us who've played the game, that that's pretty unusual, the fact that you change it frequently at the last second?
Yes, and I don't do it that often like I'm mentioning now, but I think the glance does help me from time to time, because there's many players out there, they go down, they toss the ball, and then they just serve where they think they're going to go. And if the guy is standing all the other way, they wouldn't see it. So I think it's important to have a quick look.
You study tennis history. There have been other tournaments in which you've gone into a final not having been broken, as is the case tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
But Novak also hasn't been broken.
Right.
We're trying to think. It's quite
I brought up this
remarkable.
stat to him. I think I've never seen this before.
Right. It's rare, absolutely. I don't know if I've ever won a tournament not being broken. I think there might be one tournament in Qatar one time in my career potentially. So it's a hard thing to do. I have the feeling we'll see a break tomorrow at some point.
You've played him so many times, but when you look at the hard court success that he's had, we talked to Novak earlier about his ability to play break points so well. You know the match tomorrow is going to come down to a few things.
Absolutely.
When you analyze how he plays them and what he does well, what you have to counter, what do you see?
Well, I think important is on the break points to play your game, not worry too much about what he's trying to do, or when I'm serving against break point that he just does his thing. And then you hope that it matches up well at the right time. And sometimes you just got to accept it that the other guy just served well, played, never really gave you a look. I saw he saved an amazing amount of break points in Toronto, and then again today I missed a lot of break points in the finals of the Olympics. So that was for me a bad final. So I hope this final round.
So you don't watch him that much. I mean, because he has that look in his eyes so often where he doesn't necessarily play all that boldly, but he just, I am not going to miss is kind of what he communicates on break point.
Plus he plays aggressive. I mean, he doesn't just push the ball into play. I mean, he goes for his shots as well, and he usually takes time away from you when it's important. That's why he's been world #1 for so long now.
So you won't scout him like during the tournament? Maybe you know, do you look at tape before, or do you have your coach?
I mean, the coaches usually tell me what to do, Paul and Severin. They tell me, I mean, what's been going on. Today I did have a look at the Del Potro match, and every time you see it's a big point, you just watch it. I mean, either way, you know, it's important to know. I think it's important, yeah.
27 times you've played Novak, a lot of memorable matches. But I suppose last year for me, the U.S. Open semis, what happened to you during that match, but also thinking how you've played since that loss? Mm-hmm. How do you look at that match and kind of put it in perspective the last 12 months?
Well, it was a tough match for me to lose, no doubt about it, because what adds to it actually last year was that the year before I lost as well, 7-5 in the fifth. And I think, did I have match points too? I think I might have it as well. So for me, that was a brutal loss, really. And then I went to Australia like sort of 2 days later, played on grass 3 straight days in Sydney, flew around the world and went on vacation, didn't go to Asia, and thought I need some time to figure this out, because now I've lost a bunch of close matches and I was able to turn it around, and that's where I'm happy. So obviously tomorrow I'm not going to be thinking of that match, but I'm aware that Novak's obviously amazing on hard courts. He's been winning almost virtually every tournament he enters, and I'm looking forward to it. It's a great finals to look forward to.
After that loss you talked about, you won just about everything the rest of the year. It was a very calculated plan and then some great playing to get back to #1. But you know that the lead is very small, that if you don't win the match tomorrow, he's well ahead in race points. I mean, do you think about big picture stuff like that? You've got this #1 back, which many people thought you'd never see again.
Exactly. So for me, I already achieved my goal. My initial goal was to get back to world #1. I was able to do that. So if I am able to stay world #1, and as long as I can, obviously I'm going to try a lot. Not everything, otherwise I would have been in Toronto most likely. So for me, I have to look at the big picture. I have a different life than all these guys. I have family. I have a different body. I am 5 years older. So they're in their prime, if you like. So I have to make sure I manage my schedule accordingly, and so I hope I'm fresher than him tomorrow. We'll see how it goes.
I got to just tell you real quickly, you told me Marco Ciudinelli owns you, like you own Stan Wawrinka. I did a little quick check-in. You beat him last year. Didn't you beat Ciudinelli at Basel?
Yeah. Well,
how does he own you then?
Well, he owns my mind. that's what it is.
Wow.
We've talked about it a lot. You've been generous with the time. When Marco Ciudinelli comes up, I think it's about time to wrap things up.
I had to check.
He's one of my best friends, and it's hard to play him.
All right, Roger. Well, best of luck. Congratulations on a great week. Roger and Novak Djokovic in the championship match tomorrow, which CBS has. Back to wrap things up after this.